What's up guys, Icebreaker back again. Got another tutorial video for you. Today we're going to be looking at Cooker. In particular though, it's going to be the Cooker Rush. It's quite an iconic hit, the Rush of Cooker. The lasers all around the core targeting either bullet or a scorcher. People quite often wonder why the lasers will fire past the Zookas and into bullet or scorcher and not roast Zookas. But we'll go into that in a second about how to make that work. We're going to go into the game mechanics a little bit, give you a better understanding of how to make this hit, where it can go smoothly each time. So as you can see, the team have already cleared the ring, shield gens, all the beach and the gens in the front here. They've also cleared the mines in front of core, but importantly they've left the shock mine at 3 o'clock. That shock mine is great for saving gunboat energy in a minute, because we're gonna trap a scorcher on that mine instead of having to use a shock. The mechanics behind this hit are a little bit complicated, but I'll try my best and explain them to you. Lasers have what's known as a lock-on feature, which means once they target a troop, any troop, whether it be a heavy, a scorcher, a hero, any of them, once they've locked on and they started firing at that particular troop, they will ignore everything else, even if it's closer than that troop it's already locked onto, and it will fire at that one troop until it's either destroyed or it's out of range, at which point then it will retarget to the closest target, and again it will lock on and stay locked onto that target until it's destroyed or out of range. So this hit works by using those game mechanics to your advantage. As you can see, all the lasers around the core all reach that one shock mine there on 3 o'clock, that one there. All of these lasers, every single one of them will reach that shock mine, which is why we use that shock mine to trap the target. In this case it's a scorcher. You can use bullet as well. That's what we use to trap that, because it's right in the perfect location for all the lasers to target. When it comes to throwing shocks on this one, also what you need to do is you need to shock these 3 lasers, and the reason for that is because when they fire at the scorcher, they'll hit the scorcher and the laser will shoot straight out the other side of the scorcher, straight into the pack of girls. So those 3 lasers are always shocked on every single time you do this hit. And across the bottom here, quite typically we have a lot of mortars. We have got a doom cannon there as well, but it doesn't matter. When you throw these shocks, what you don't want to do is catch the lasers, especially if you're doing high level operations, because when the shocks wear off, the lasers will straight away, they'll target the girls and they'll just roast the entire pack of girls in one shot. They'll be gone. But the mortars tend to pick them off a little bit slower, sort of taking clumps out at a time. So what you do is, when you throw these shocks around the edge of these mortars, is you only shock the mortars. You leave the lasers unshocked. So that way then, when they target the scorcher or bullet on the shock mine, they will stay locked onto that target even after these shocks on the mortars and stuff have expired. Can make all the difference between dropping the core or not, especially on cores with a really big health. If you're doing massive attack, fall on hope, duplexity or whatnot, the core healths and whatnot will be really, really big. So having just those 2 or 3 extra volleys in between mortar shots can sometimes make all the difference. The path on this one is also really important. You need to keep the delay. You can't lose the delay at all. If you do lose the delay on these few lasers here, you do need to change your hit just slightly. You need to adjust to make sure they lock on to either the scorcher or bullet. I'll go into that in a second. the path is, if you see where these 4 cells were on the beach here, and that little space there, but obviously out of range of that laser, we're going to be using a grouping flare just there. And then the next flare comes in at sort of 2 o'clock, just above the shock mine here, so that you throw the flare past the shock mine so that the troop definitely hits it. If you flare onto the shock mine, then sometimes they stop a little bit short and they don't get shocked. Okay, so start the hit. What we're going to do is we're going to flare land with the girls to start off with. Flare nice and low, nice and far away. Now, one of the things that's absolutely key on this attack is the landing. This bit is incredibly crucial. If you mess this bit up, it's ruined, it's done. When you get to the point where the Scorcher gets shocked or bullet gets shocked, it needs to be only the Scorcher or only bullet. If you get one single Zuka or the hero trapped in that shock as well, then the hit's over. Because what will happen is the lasers will target the single troop like the hero or a single Zuka. It will roast that troop, and then straight away it will target the girls because they'll be closer, and then they'll fire the second shot straight into the girls and ruin your hit. So the landing is absolutely key, and the trick to it is once you've got all 7 boats of Zukas off and you flare up to there as your grouping flare, which is outside of the range of that lowest laser. As soon as that flare lands, you need to drop the Scorcher, and then as they start getting bunched up on that grouping flare there, you need to throw that flare above the shock mine there at 3 o'clock, and then drop the hero, in this case Brick, because like I said, we need the Scorcher to be way out front, with Brick in with the girls. If you drop Brick too early, she'll run off with the Scorcher and get trapped in the shock. So getting smokes down straight away, laying them quite thick because I don't want them to split around anything. I don't want to lose a delay. So what I'm going to do now is put the attack on half times, because these next 2 smokes are absolutely critical. Now, what you need to do is the last 2 smokes on a normal Zuka hit, you would throw them both at the same time or in very quick succession. On this rush, you need to throw the next smoke, which is the one over the shock mine for the Scorcher, and then the one after that is the one for the Zukas. But you need to leave at least 1 second, 1 complete clear second, in between the smokes landing, not the taps, but between the smokes actually hitting the floor. There needs to be at least 1 full second of time. Now that 1 full second of time is the time it takes for the lasers to turn and lock on to the Scorcher as the Zukas are coming out of the smoke to hit core. That's how you get that effect of the lasers firing over the top of the Zukas as many times as needed until the core drops. Obviously you shot the mortars. So we're going to put it on half times. We're going to watch the next 2 smokes, and you'll be able to see the difference in the smoke timers. So there's the tap for the Scorcher smoke. It's landed, full second, and the second one is dropped. Now the Scorcher's now hit the shock mine and been trapped. And as you can see, all the girls are still nicely clumped up, and Brick's caught up enough that she's in the same smoke with the girls. That is also really key. So once the Scorcher has hit the mine, what you need to do is flare straight over into the last smoke, like that. And what will happen is the girls will walk from there over to that smoke whilst the Scorcher stays where it is. And then you need to flare core before that shock mine wears off and the Scorcher moves. Okay, so now what we've got is it's the perfect setup. All the lasers can reach that Scorcher, every single one of them, and you can see there's enough time between the last two smokes there for the lasers to lock onto the scorcher before the Zukas appear. That way then the lasers will ignore the scorcher, will ignore the Zukas, sorry, until the scorcher is destroyed or the core goes down. So the next part is this shock on these lasers up here. Like that. I catch 4 in this one. You don't have to have 4, but it's, you know, it's safer sometimes. So that's that shock one there. And then the next shocks come out on the mortars only around the outside edge. And as you can see, the smoke there is just worn off. The lasers have all turned and targeting the scorcher. So that as they fire, they'll fire over the top of the Zukas. Now, I was full boost on this one, so the core goes down again before the lasers fire again, but they will fire over the top of the Zukas. They won't target the Zukas. You can see there that I got tagged there by that shock blaster, shock launcher, sorry. You do need to watch that one as well. Sometimes that one, you know, one girl will just step out wide enough for that one to fire. So if you see that one turn, throw a shock on it. Or you can flare over a little bit more to the right from where I did here down the bottom, and you'll be out of range. So yeah, that's sort of the mechanics behind the cooker rush. I know it's quite an intriguing one. People quite often ask how it works and why the lasers don't roast the girls. I hope this video's helped explain the mechanics behind how it works. And yeah, give it a try, guys, and see if you can replicate it. The scorcher hit is definitely harder than the bullet hit because there's just that extra feature, that sort of extra aspect of the landing has to be absolutely spot on for it to work. With using bullet, you can land all 8 boats of girls, flare up and drop bullet, and again flare to the shock mine. You haven't got to worry about dropping the hero after that flare's dropped. You can just flare up and, you know, just smoke the girls to core. But ultimately the mechanics, especially the last 2 smokes and using that mine, are absolutely key. Those last 2 smokes will make or break this attack. If you don't have that time for the lasers to lock on to the scorcher or bullet, they will just roast you girls. So yeah, I hope that's helped, guys. Hope it's helped explain it for you. If you do manage to pull off your first cooker rush, make sure we share those videos in the group. We'd all love to see it. Thanks, guys. Good luck.